The 6 a.m. train smelled like burnt coffee and rain-soaked fabric. Sarah pressed her forehead against the cold window, watching Chicago's skyline fade into gray morning mist. Her double shift at the diner had bled into a night shift at the warehouse. 36 hours awake. Her bones ached with a tiredness that went deeper than sleep could fix. The stranger beside her wore an expensive watch. She noticed because it caught the light when he turned the page of his newspaper. Everything else about him seemed deliberately plain. Dark jeans. Simple jacket. But the watch told a different story. Her eyelids grew heavy. The train's rhythm became a lullaby she couldn't fight. Long night? His voice was warm. Curious, not intrusive. Long year, Sarah muttered, already half gone. She felt herself tipping sideways. Tried to stop it. Failed. His shoulder was solid beneath her cheek. Somewhere in the fog of exhaustion, she registered the expensive cologne, the steady rise and fall of his breathing. She should move. Apologize. But sleep dragged her under like a tide. Marcus Wellington stared at the agricultural report in his hands, unable to focus on projected yields and crop rotations. The young woman sleeping against him had calluses on her fingers. A scar above her eyebrow. Dark circles under her eyes that spoke of survival, not living. He knew that look. Had worn it himself 20 years ago. His phone buzzed. Tom Rodriguez, boss, meeting in an hour. You still on schedule? Marcus looked at Sarah's peaceful face. Made a decision that defied every logical bone in his body. Change of plans, he typed back. The train hissed to a stop. Millfield Station. Population 847. His private stop, maintained mostly for ranch deliveries. Sarah didn't stir when he lifted her. Didn't wake when he carried her across the empty platform to his truck. Her head nestled against his chest like she belonged there. Tom's face was pure confusion. Mr. Wellington, what the hell? She needs rest, Marcus said, settling her in the passenger seat. Real rest. So you kidnapped her? The word hung in the air between them. Marcus buckled the seatbelt across Sarah's sleeping form, his jaw tight. I'm giving her a choice when she wakes up. The ranch house rose against the dawn sky, Victorian spires cutting through morning fog. Marcus carried Sarah up the sweeping staircase to the guest room, laid her on the antique quilt his grandmother had sewn. She looked so small in the massive bed. Fragile and fierce all at once. Mrs. Chen found him in the kitchen an hour later, staring into cold coffee. You brought a stranger to the house. I brought someone who needed help. And when she wakes up terrified? Alone in a place she doesn't know? Marcus met his housekeeper's eyes. Then I'll explain. I'll apologize. I'll drive her wherever she wants to go. Will you? Mrs. Chen's voice was gentle but probing. Or is there something else you're looking for? The question landed like a punch. Marcus turned back to the window, watching cattle move across distant hills. His empire spread out before him, 3,000 acres of success that had never quite filled the empty spaces inside. Upstairs, a door creaked open. Sarah's scream shattered the morning quiet. Where am I? Where the hell am I? Marcus took the stairs 2 at a time. Found her in the doorway, wild-eyed, clutching a brass candlestick like a weapon. It's okay, he said, hands raised. You're safe. Safe? Her voice cracked. I fell asleep on a train and woke up in a mansion. Tell me right now what you want or I swear to God I'll. Nothing. I want nothing. You looked exhausted and He stopped. How could he explain an impulse he didn't understand himself? Sarah's grip on the candlestick tightened. You what? Decided to collect me like a stray dog? You fell asleep on my shoulder. You missed your stop. I brought you here to rest. That's insane. You're insane. Maybe, Marcus admitted. But you're not in danger. Look at me. Really look. Their eyes met. Sarah saw something in his face that made her hesitate. Not threat. Something else. Something broken. Who are you? Marcus Wellington. He watched for recognition. Saw none. And I think we need to talk. Because you're not the only one running from something. Sarah lowered the candlestick slowly. What makes you think I'm running? Marcus smiled, sad and knowing. Because I recognize the look. I wore it for years before I built all this. He gestured at the room, the house, the empire beyond. Sometimes the only difference between running and surviving is how tired you are. Sarah's hand trembled. She set the candlestick down, sank onto the bed. I need to get back. I have work tonight. When's the last time you missed a shift? The question hit something tender. Sarah's eyes filled with tears she refused to let fall. Never. Then take one day, Marcus said softly. One day to breathe. I'll pay whatever you'd lose. No strings. No expectations. Why? The word was barely a whisper. Marcus walked to the window, looked out at his grandmother's gardens. Because 7 years ago, someone gave me a chance I didn't deserve. And I've been trying to figure out how to pay it forward ever since. Sarah studied him. The expensive watch. The calloused hands that didn't match the mansion. The loneliness radiating off him like heat. One day, she said finally. But I keep my door locked. And if you try anything, you'll brain me with the candlestick. Fair enough. For the first time, Sarah almost smiled. Almost. Marcus turned to leave, stopped at the doorway. Sarah? The woman who gave me that chance 7 years ago? She died 3 months later. Never got to see what I built with it. His voice was rough. Don't waste your chances waiting for the perfect moment. They don't exist. He left her sitting on the bed, looking at her reflection in the antique mirror. A stranger in a borrowed room, given a gift she didn't understand. Downstairs, Marcus pulled out his phone. Stared at the message from his board of directors. Final vote on the merger tonight. Everything you've built depends on this. Everything he'd built. Every carefully constructed wall. Every defense against feeling too much. And upstairs, an exhausted waitress he couldn't explain, threatening all of it. Mrs. Chen appeared at his elbow. You're playing with fire, Marcus. I know. Do you? Because that girl upstairs, she's got secrets too. I can see it in her eyes. Marcus thought about Sarah's fierce expression, the way she'd gripped that candlestick. Maybe that's exactly what I need. The afternoon sun slanted through the windows. Upstairs, Sarah stood in the shower, letting hot water wash away 36 hours of exhaustion. And for the first time in 3 years, she let herself cry. Because she'd left more than a shift behind in Chicago. She'd left a man who would come looking. A debt she couldn't pay. And a secret that could destroy everything if the wrong person found out. Her phone, still in her bag, buzzed with 17 missed calls. All from the same number. All from someone who would burn the world down to find her. Dinner was venison and roasted vegetables that tasted like something from another life. Sarah sat across from Marcus at a table built for 12, acutely aware of the space between them. You hunt? She asked, cutting into the meat. The deer come down from the hills. Overpopulation. It's either this or watch them starve. Marcus poured wine she didn't touch. Everything on this table came from the ranch. My grandmother's philosophy. She said if you're going to take a life, you better use every part of it. Smart woman. She was. Raised me after my parents died. Taught me that land doesn't owe you anything, but if you respect it, it might give back. Sarah set down her fork. Is that your speech? The self-made billionaire origin story? Would you believe it if I said yes? I'd believe you practice it. She met his eyes. But I'd also believe there's more you're not saying. Marcus smiled. Actually smiled. You always this direct? Only when someone kidnaps me. I prefer rescued. Of course you do. Sarah reached for the wine after all. Took a long sip. So what's the catch? The thing you want that you're not saying yet? The question hung between them like smoke. Marcus leaned back, studied her. What makes you think there's a catch? Because there's always a catch. Rich men don't help waitresses out of kindness. They help because they want something. And if I said I just wanted company? Someone who doesn't know Marcus Wellington, CEO. Someone who sees just Marcus. Sarah laughed, bitter and sharp. Then I'd say you're lonely. And loneliness makes people stupid. Speaking from experience? The question landed too close to bone. Sarah's smile vanished. I should go. This was. Thank you for dinner. She stood. Marcus stood faster. Wait. I'm sorry. That was. He ran a hand through his hair. I'm not good at this. At talking to people without an agenda. Without a contract or a deal or a. Without a script, Sarah finished. Yeah. I noticed. Stay. The word came out raw. Please. Just. Let me try again. Sarah looked at him. Really looked. Saw the fractures beneath the expensive clothes and practiced confidence. Saw someone as lost as she was. Why me? She asked quietly. Of all the people on that train, why did you choose me? Marcus walked to the window. The ranch stretched out under a violet sky, fireflies beginning their dance across the fields. You want the truth? I always want the truth. Because you didn't ask for anything. You just existed. Tired and honest and real. He turned to face her. Everyone in my life wants something. Money. Access. Status. But you just fell asleep. Like I was safe. Sarah's chest tightened. I wasn't conscious enough to decide if you were safe. Exactly. Marcus moved closer. Not threatening. Seeking. That's the only time anyone's ever trusted me without calculation. That's the saddest thing I've ever heard. Probably because it's true. They stood 3 feet apart. The distance between them hummed with something neither could name. Sarah broke first. My boyfriend. Ex-boyfriend. He's looking for me. Marcus went very still. Are you in danger? Aren't we all? She laughed without humor. I left because. Because I found out things. Bad things. And now he thinks I'm going to talk. Are you? I don't know. Sarah wrapped her arms around herself. All I know is that staying in Chicago meant becoming someone I didn't recognize anymore. So I ran. How much does he know? Enough to find me eventually. She met Marcus's eyes. Which means staying here puts you at risk too. Let me worry about that. Why would you risk anything for me? You don't even know me. Marcus closed the distance between them. Not touching, but close enough that Sarah could feel his heat. Maybe I'm tired of safe. Maybe I want to feel something real, even if it's dangerous. That's a terrible reason. I've made fortunes on terrible reasons. Sarah reached up, almost touched his face, stopped herself. You have a vote tonight. For your merger. Mrs. Chen told me. She talks too much. She cares about you. Sarah stepped back, breaking the spell. And she's right to worry. Because whatever this is, it's already complicated. And it's going to get worse. How do you know? Sarah pulled out her phone. Showed him the 17 missed calls. Because he doesn't give up. Ever. And when he finds out I'm here, with you, he's going to assume things. What kind of things? The kind that get people hurt. Marcus took the phone, looked at the number. Memorized it. What's his name? Marcus, don't. What's his name, Sarah? She closed her eyes. Dominic Reeves. And before you ask, yes. That Dominic Reeves. Marcus's face went white. The developer? The one who's been buying up farmland across the Midwest. The one trying to turn sustainable farms into luxury subdivisions. Yeah. Him. Jesus Christ, Sarah. He's. Marcus sat down hard. He's the one offering to buy me out. The merger. It's with his company. The words fell like bombs. Sarah felt the floor tilt. What? The vote tonight. Wellington Agricultural Holdings and Reeves Development Group. It's a $400 million deal. Sarah started laughing. Couldn't stop. The sound bordered on hysteria. Of course. Of course it is. Because the universe has a sick sense of humor. You didn't know? I knew he was expanding. I didn't know. She looked at Marcus. I didn't know it was you. Why does he want your silence so badly? What did you find? Sarah walked to the liquor cabinet, poured herself 3 fingers of whiskey. Downed it. Poured another. Fraud. Tax evasion. Bribes to zoning boards. Threats to landowners who wouldn't sell. She turned to face him. And worse. Much worse. Things that would put him away for 20 years if I testified. Do you have proof? Copies of everything. Hidden where he'll never find them. Marcus stood slowly. Walked to her. Took the glass from her shaking hands. Sarah. This merger. It's everything. It secures funding for my sustainability programs. Protects my workers. Saves farms across 3 states. I know. If you go public with what you know, the deal dies. The SEC will freeze his assets. Everything collapses. I know. And if you don't, he keeps destroying everything in his path. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. I know that too. So what do we do? She looked at him. This man who'd carried her to safety. Who'd offered her rest. Who was now trapped in the same nightmare she'd been running from. We make a choice. And we live with the consequences. Marcus cupped her face with both hands. Gentle. Reverent. Whatever you decide, I'm with you. Merger or not. Fortune or not. I'm with you. You don't mean that. Try me. Their foreheads touched. The moment stretched, fragile and fierce. Sarah's phone rang. Dominic's number. Don't answer it, Marcus whispered. I have to. If I don't, he'll escalate. He'll start looking harder. Then let him look. Marcus. Sarah pulled back. You don't understand what he's capable of. Then tell me. Tell me everything. Sarah looked at the ringing phone. At Marcus. At the impossible choice spreading before her like a chasm. The proof I have. It includes something else. Something I found by accident. What? Evidence that your grandmother's death wasn't an accident. The words stopped time. Marcus went absolutely still, his face draining of color. What did you say? 7 years ago. The car accident that killed Eleanor Wellington. It wasn't an accident. Dominic paid someone to cut her brake lines. Why? Why would he? Because she owned the last holdout property he needed for a development deal. And she refused to sell. Marcus stumbled backward. Hit the wall. Slid down it. My grandmother. The woman who gave me everything. He killed her for land? Sarah knelt beside him. I'm so sorry. I didn't know how to tell you. I didn't even know if I should. How long have you known? 3 weeks. I found the payment records. The correspondence. Everything. Marcus looked at her with eyes full of betrayal and something darker. And you didn't go to the police? I was scared. He's powerful. He's connected. And I. Her voice broke. I loved him. God help me, I loved him and I thought maybe I was wrong. Maybe there was an explanation. But there wasn't. No. There wasn't. Marcus stood. Walked away from her. Stood at the window with his back rigid. The vote is in 3 hours. If I sign, I'm in business with my grandmother's killer. If I don't, everything she built dies anyway. Unless I come forward. Unless I give you the evidence. He turned. And put yourself in his crosshairs. I'm already there. Not like this. Not publicly. Not where he can't make you disappear quietly. The phone stopped ringing. Started again immediately. Sarah answered it. Put it on speaker. Dominic's voice filled the room. Smooth. Dangerous. Sarah. Darling. Where are you? Away from you. Don't be dramatic. Come home. We'll talk about this like adults. We're done talking. Are we? Because I did some checking. That train you took? It had a very interesting passenger list. Tell me, how well do you know Marcus Wellington? Sarah's eyes met Marcus's. He stepped closer. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't play games with me, Sarah. I know you got off at Millfield. I know whose property that station services. And I know that if you're with him, you're trying to sabotage our deal. Your deal murdered his grandmother. Silence. Then laughter. Cold and cutting. Did you tell him? Oh, this is perfect. This is better than I could have scripted. What are you talking about? Ask your new friend about the insurance payout. Ask him what he did with the money after his grandmother died. Sarah looked at Marcus. His face had gone gray. Marcus? $2 million, Dominic continued. Paid out within 3 months. The exact amount he needed to save his failing ranch. Funny how convenient that accident was for everyone, isn't it? That's not. Sarah's voice faltered. Did you think you were the first person I've owned, Sarah? Marcus Wellington has been in my pocket for 7 years. Why do you think this merger was always going to happen? Why do you think he's been expanding exactly where I need him to? No, Marcus whispered. That's not true. Isn't it? Check your accounts, Wellington. Check every investment. Every loan. Every opportunity that fell into your lap. I built you into what you are. And now you're going to do what you were always supposed to do. Sign the deal. Or I tell the world that you benefited from your grandmother's murder. The line went dead. Sarah stared at Marcus. Tell me it's not true. Tell me he's lying. Marcus couldn't speak. Couldn't move. Could barely breathe. Marcus. Tell me. I didn't know, he finally whispered. The insurance. The loans. The investors. I thought I earned it. I thought I built this. Oh my God. Sarah, please. I didn't know. You have to believe me. She backed away from him. Horror and betrayal warring on her face. Everything. Everything was a lie. No. What I feel for you. That's real. That's the only real thing. I can't. Sarah grabbed her bag. I can't be here. I can't look at you. Don't leave. Please. We'll figure this out together. Together? She laughed, broken. There is no together. There's just two people drowning in the same ocean of lies. She ran. Out the door. Into the night. Marcus stood alone in his grandmother's house. Built on blood money. Surrounded by success he never earned. And outside, headlights cut through the darkness. A black SUV pulling up the long driveway. Dominic Reeves had come to collect. Sarah ran through the dark fields, corn stalks whipping at her face. Behind her, voices. Flashlights cutting through the night like knives. She'd made it maybe half a mile before she heard the SUV's engine. Before she heard Dominic's voice calling her name like a prayer and a threat. Her lungs burned. Her legs screamed. But terror was a better fuel than adrenaline. She dove into the irrigation ditch, pressed herself flat against the muddy earth, felt water seep through her clothes. Held her breath as footsteps passed inches from her head. She's out here somewhere, a man's voice. One of Dominic's security team. Can't have gone far. Find her. Dominic's voice, closer than it should be. And bring her back intact. She's more valuable alive. Sarah waited until the footsteps faded. Crawled along the ditch until she reached the tree line. Her phone was dead. She was soaked, freezing, and completely alone. Except she wasn't. A hand clamped over her mouth. Sarah tried to scream. It's me. Marcus's voice, urgent in her ear. Don't make a sound. He pulled her deeper into the woods, moving with the confidence of someone who knew every inch of this land. They ran for what felt like hours, finally stopping at a small hunting cabin hidden in a hollow. Inside, Marcus lit a lantern. The warm light revealed a simple space. One room. 2 chairs. A wood stove. My grandmother's retreat, he said, bolting the door. Dominic doesn't know about it. Nobody does. Sarah stood dripping in the middle of the room, shaking from cold and shock. How did you find me? I know this land. And I knew you'd run toward the trees. He grabbed a blanket, wrapped it around her shoulders. You're freezing. We need to get you warm. Don't touch me. Marcus stepped back, hands raised. Sarah. We need to talk. Talk? Your business partner just hunted me through a field like an animal. He's not my partner. Not anymore. Marcus moved to the stove, started building a fire. I killed the deal. Called the board 20 minutes ago. The merger is dead. Sarah stared at him. You what? I told them everything. About Dominic. About the fraud. About my grandmother. His hands shook as he lit the kindling. I told them about the insurance money. About how I built an empire on blood I didn't know I was spilling. They'll destroy you. I know. You'll lose everything. I know that too. The fire caught, orange light flickering across Marcus's face. He looked older suddenly. Tired in a way that went beyond physical exhaustion. Why? Sarah asked. Why would you sacrifice everything? Marcus turned to face her. Because my grandmother taught me that land doesn't owe you anything. But she also taught me that some debts can't be paid with money. They have to be paid with truth. Truth doesn't feed your workers. Doesn't save your farms. No. But maybe it saves something more important. He stepped closer. Maybe it saves who I am. Who I choose to be. Sarah pulled the blanket tighter. And what about me? What about what I know? You go to the police. You testify. You burn Dominic's empire to the ground. And die trying. You don't know him like I do. He'll kill me before I ever reach a courthouse. Then we run. Together. We disappear. I've got money he can't touch. Properties in 3 countries. We could. Stop. Sarah held up her hand. Just stop. You don't get to play hero now. You don't get to rescue me to make yourself feel better about profiting from murder. The words landed like bullets. Marcus flinched. That's not what this is. Isn't it? You feel guilty. You want redemption. So you throw away your company and ride off into the sunset with the damaged girl who knows your secrets. You're not damaged. Yes, I am. We both are. And pretending otherwise doesn't change the facts. Outside, voices again. Closer. The search had spread to the woods. Marcus killed the lantern. They stood in darkness, breathing hard, listening to men crash through the undergrowth. We can't stay here, Sarah whispered. There's a storm cellar. Hidden entrance. They won't find it. He took her hand. She let him. In the darkness, it was easier to forget everything. Easier to pretend they were just 2 people trying to survive. The cellar was cramped and musty. Marcus pulled the entrance closed above them, sealing them in complete blackness. They sat side by side on the cold earth, shoulders touching. Sarah could feel his heartbeat where their bodies pressed together. Tell me about her, she said quietly. Your grandmother. Marcus was silent for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was thick. She was fierce. Tiny woman, barely 5 feet tall, but she'd stare down a bull without blinking. She taught me to read the weather in the morning sky. To know when corn needed water by the curl of the leaves. To understand that farming isn't about controlling nature, it's about listening to it. She sounds amazing. She was. Is. Was. He pressed the heels of his hands against his eyes. God, I can't even get the tense right. 7 years and I still catch myself thinking she's going to call. Ask how the harvest is going. I'm sorry. Don't be. You didn't kill her. But I helped the man who did. You didn't know. Neither did you. Sarah turned toward him in the darkness. That's what you keep telling yourself, right? That if you didn't know, you're not complicit. What else do I tell myself? That I should have questioned every lucky break? Every coincidence? Maybe. Yeah. Maybe that's exactly what you should have done. Easy to say when you're on the outside looking in. When you're drowning, you don't ask where the life preserver came from. You just grab it and hold on. The words echoed between them. Both true and terrible. Above, footsteps. Heavy boots on the cabin floor. Check everything, Dominic's voice, muffled but unmistakable. They couldn't have gone far. Sarah's hand found Marcus's in the dark. Squeezed hard. They waited. Barely breathing. Listening to men tear apart the cabin above them. Furniture overturned. Floorboards tested. So close Sarah could hear their conversations. Nothing here, sir. Then expand the search. I want every inch of this property covered. Yes, sir. The footsteps retreated. The door slammed. But neither of them moved. He'll burn it, Marcus whispered. The cabin. If he thinks we were here and escaped, he'll burn it to cover his tracks. Can he really do that? On your property? He's done worse. Sarah's mind raced. The evidence. The files I hid. If he finds them before I can use them. Where are they? Safe deposit box. Chicago. First National Bank on Michigan Avenue. That's a 12-hour drive. It's also the only leverage I have. Without those files, it's my word against his. And we both know how that ends. Marcus was quiet. Sarah could almost hear him thinking, calculating odds and angles. We need a plan, he finally said. We can't run forever. We can't hide. So we go on offense. Against Dominic Reeves? That's suicide. Maybe. Or maybe it's the only choice left. What are you thinking? I'm thinking that he wants two things. You quiet and me signed. And right now, he's got neither. So we give him what he wants. Or make him think we're giving him what he wants. Sarah pulled her hand free. No. Absolutely not. I'm not going anywhere near him. Not you. Me. Marcus shifted in the darkness. I call him. Tell him I'll sign the deal. But only if he guarantees your safety. He'll never agree to that. He will if he thinks I'm broken. If he thinks losing my grandmother's legacy destroyed me. Men like Dominic, they feed on weakness. Show them enough of it, they get careless. And then what? You sign away everything you built? I sign. You get the evidence from Chicago. And while he's celebrating his victory, you take everything to the FBI. He'll know you betrayed him. I'm counting on it. Sarah grabbed his shoulders in the dark. Marcus, listen to yourself. You're talking about making yourself a target. You're talking about sacrificing everything for a plan that has 100 ways to fail. Yeah. I am. Why? Why would you do that? His hands came up to cup her face. She felt the calluses on his palms, earned from years of real work beneath the expensive suits. Because 7 years ago, someone died to give me a chance I didn't deserve. And I built an empire on that death without ever asking the cost. His voice cracked. I can't bring her back. But I can make sure her death wasn't meaningless. I can make sure the man who killed her pays for what he did. That's not your responsibility. Yes, it is. It's the only responsibility that matters. Sarah felt tears on her cheeks. Or maybe they were his tears. In the darkness, it was impossible to tell where one of them ended and the other began. If we do this, she whispered, there's no going back. You understand that? Everything changes. Everything's already changed. I could still walk away. Take my evidence and run. Leave you to clean up your own mess. You could. But I'm not going to. Am I? No. Marcus's thumb traced her cheekbone. Because you're not that person. You never were. How do you know? Because if you were, you'd have sold those files to the highest bidder months ago. Instead, you ran. You hid. You protected everyone but yourself. That's not strength. That's cowardice. No. That's the same thing my grandmother did. She protected the land at all costs. Even when it killed her. Sarah pressed her forehead against his. Then we're both idiots. Probably. Definitely. They sat in the darkness, holding each other, listening to the world outside try to find them. Two broken people bound by secrets and choices that couldn't be unmade. Marcus? Yeah. When this is over. If we survive. I'm gone. You know that, right? His arms tightened around her. I know. I can't be here. Can't look at this place and not think about how it was built. I know that too. But right now, in this moment, I need you to kiss me. I need to feel something that isn't fear or guilt or rage. Marcus's answer was his mouth on hers. Desperate and gentle and utterly real. Sarah kissed him back, pouring every complicated emotion into the contact. This wasn't love. It was survival. It was two people drowning, reaching for each other in the dark. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Marcus rested his forehead against hers. We do this, we do it smart. We do it careful. And we do it together. Together, Sarah agreed. Until it's over. Until it's over. Above them, an explosion. Fire blooming orange against the night sky. Dominic had burned the cabin. Marcus grabbed Sarah's hand. We move. Now. Stay low and follow me. They climbed out of the cellar into chaos. The cabin burning behind them, men shouting, flashlights everywhere. And somewhere in the confusion, Marcus's phone buzzed. A text from Dominic, I know you're here, Wellington. And I know she's with you. Last chance. Bring her to me, or I start hurting people you love. Your workers. Your staff. Everyone who depends on you. You have 1 hour. Sarah read the message over his shoulder. He's bluffing. No, he's not. He killed my grandmother for land. He'll kill anyone who gets in his way. Then what do we do? Marcus looked at her. At the burning cabin. At his entire world going up in flames. We call his bluff. And we pray we're not wrong. He typed back, deal. But not here. Public place. Neutral ground. Tomorrow morning. Chicago. You want her, you meet my terms. The response came immediately, done. But if you run, if you warn anyone, I'll bury you both. Marcus pocketed the phone. Looked at Sarah. Tomorrow morning, we end this. Or it ends us. Yeah. Marcus kissed her forehead. Or that. They disappeared into the woods, leaving fire and chaos behind. Not running anymore. Hunting. Chicago morning came wrapped in fog and the smell of exhaust. Sarah stood outside the First National Bank, Marcus beside her, both of them running on no sleep and pure adrenaline. He'll have people watching, Marcus said, scanning the street. The second you walk in there. I know. And the second you walk out with those files. I know that too. Marcus grabbed her arm. Sarah. Once you get them, you run. You don't wait for me. You don't look back. You go straight to the FBI field office on West Roosevelt. You hand them everything and you don't leave until you're in protective custody. What about you? I'm meeting Dominic at Millennium Park in an hour. Public place. Plenty of witnesses. He won't try anything stupid. He's already burned down your cabin and threatened to kill your staff. Stupid is his baseline. Which is why you need to run the second you can. Sarah looked up at him. This man who'd carried her off a train, who'd offered her safety, who'd blown up his entire life to give her a chance at justice. Come with me. I can't. If I don't show, he escalates. More people get hurt. So you're just going to walk into a trap? It's not a trap if I know it's coming. Marcus cupped her face. I'll be fine. I promise. Don't make promises you can't keep. Then I promise I'll try really hard not to die. Sarah almost smiled. Almost. If this goes wrong. It won't. But if it does, I need you to know that these last 2 days, they mattered. You mattered. Marcus kissed her. Slow and deep and achingly sad. We'll have more days. I swear it. Stop making promises. Never. She pulled away, straightened her shoulders, walked into the bank. The manager recognized her immediately. led her to the vault. Sarah's hands shook as she unlocked the box, saw the flash drive sitting inside like a bomb waiting to detonate. 7 months of evidence. Every crime. Every payoff. Every threat. And at the bottom, the file on Eleanor Wellington's murder. Sarah grabbed it all, stuffed it in her bag. Turned to leave. And froze. Standing in the vault doorway was Tom Rodriguez, Marcus's ranch manager. "Tom? What are you doing here?" He stepped inside. Closed the door behind him. "Mr. Reeves sent me to make sure you got where you needed to go." The world tilted. Sarah backed up until she hit the wall. "No. You work for Marcus." "I work for whoever pays me, sweetheart. And Mr. Reeves pays better than farming ever will." "How long?" 7 years. Since the day your boyfriend bought Marcus's debt and his soul in one neat transaction." Tom pulled out a gun. "Casual. Practiced. Now hand over the bag." "No. Sarah. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. Give me the drive, walk away. You can still disappear. Start over somewhere he'll never find you." "In exchange for what?" "My silence. In exchange for your life." Tom moved closer. "Mr. Reeves is offering you a deal. Take it. Because the alternative is a bullet and a shallow grave." Sarah's mind raced. The gun. The door. The files in her bag. "Does Marcus know? That you're one of them?" "Marcus doesn't know anything. Kid built a whole empire and never once looked at the foundation. Never once asked why things came so easy. Because he trusted you. Trust is expensive. He should have learned that by now." Sarah's hand slid into her bag. Not for the drive. For the pepper spray she'd carried since she was 16. "Tell me one thing. Eleanor Wellington. Did you help kill her?" Tom's expression didn't change. "I cut the brake lines myself." The words hung in the air like poison. Sarah saw red. She pulled the spray, aimed, fired. Tom screamed, stumbled backward. Sarah ran. Out of the vault, through the bank, onto the street. People everywhere. Witnesses. Safety. Except Tom was behind her, eyes streaming but gun still raised. "Sarah, stop." She didn't. She ran toward the park. Toward Marcus. Toward the only person left she could trust. Behind her, a gunshot. The pavement exploded inches from her feet. People screamed. Scattered. Sarah kept running. She burst into Millennium Park, wild-eyed and gasping. Spotted Marcus standing by the bean sculpture, talking to Dominic Reeves. "Marcus." Both men turned. Sarah saw Dominic smile. Saw Marcus's confusion. Saw Tom emerging from the crowd, gun raised. "Marcus, he's one of them. Tom works for Dominic." Everything happened at once. Marcus turned toward Tom. Dominic pulled a gun from his jacket. And Sarah, without thinking, threw herself between Marcus and the bullet. The impact knocked her sideways. She fell, Marcus catching her, blood blooming across her ribs. "No, no, no." Marcus pressed his hands against the wound. "Sarah, stay with me." She looked up at him. Tried to smile. Failed. "Got the files?" "Bag. Take them. Forget the files. We need an ambulance. Someone call 911. Around them, chaos. Screaming. People running. And in the center of it all, Dominic Reeves, gun still raised. "You should have signed the deal, Wellington." Marcus looked up at him. Something dangerous flickered in his eyes. You killed my grandmother. You destroyed Sarah's life. And you're going to stand there and tell me I should have made a deal? It's just business. Business? Marcus laid Sarah down gently. Stood. You think this is business? Dominic aimed the gun at Marcus's chest. Sit down. Before you join her. No. I'll kill you. Then do it. Right here. In front of all these witnesses. In front of security cameras. End it. Dominic's hand wavered. Around them, phones were out. Recording. Broadcasting. Marcus stepped closer. You lose either way now. Kill me, you go to prison. Let me live, I testify. The evidence Sarah has, it buries you. But if you kill me right here, right now, at least it's over quick. You're bluffing. Am I? Marcus pulled Sarah's bag off her shoulder. Held up the flash drive. 7 months of fraud. Tax evasion. Bribery. Murder. All documented. All verified. The second I give this to the FBI, you're done. So what's it going to be, Dominic? Quick death by cop? Or slow death by trial? Sirens in the distance. Getting closer. Dominic's face twisted. You self-righteous bastard. You think you're better than me? You built your empire on the same blood money. You're right. I did. And I'll spend the rest of my life making that right. But you? You'll spend the rest of yours in a cell. Police poured into the park. Guns drawn. Shouting. Drop the weapon. Dominic looked at Marcus. At the cops. At the phones recording his destruction. He ran. Made it maybe 10 feet before they tackled him. The gun skittered across pavement. Tom tried to slip away in the confusion, but Marcus pointed him out, watched as the cops grabbed him too. And then Marcus was back on his knees beside Sarah, cradling her head. Ambulance is coming. You're going to be okay. Sarah coughed. Blood on her lips. Liar. I mean it. You're going to be fine. Marcus. She grabbed his hand. The files. Make sure they get them. All of them. I will. I promise. There you go. Making promises again. Yeah, well. I'm an optimist. You're an idiot. That too. Paramedics arrived. Lifted Sarah onto a stretcher. Marcus tried to follow, but they held him back. Are you family? No, I'm. He looked at Sarah's pale face. I'm someone who cares. Then you need to let us work. They wheeled her away. Marcus stood in the middle of the park, blood on his hands, watching the ambulance disappear. A detective approached. Mr. Wellington? We're going to need a statement. Marcus handed over the flash drive. Everything you need is on here. Documents. Recordings. Proof of fraud, bribery, and murder. I want full immunity in exchange for my testimony. That's not how this works. That's exactly how it works. I give you Dominic Reeves and everyone he's ever bought. You give me immunity and protective custody for Sarah Chen. Why should we deal with you? Marcus met the detective's eyes. Because without me, you've got a circumstantial case that any decent lawyer can argue away. With me, you've got an eyewitness to 7 years of criminal conspiracy. So you can arrest me right now and watch Dominic walk in 6 months. Or you can make a deal and put him away for life. Your choice. The detective studied him. You know you're admitting to being complicit in all of this. I know. You'll lose everything. Your company. Your reputation. Everything you built. I already lost the only things that mattered. Marcus looked toward the hospital. Now I'm just trying to save what's left. Hours passed. Marcus gave his statement. Signed documents. Watched as his entire empire crumbled in real time. Board members resigning. Stock plummeting. News headlines screaming betrayal and blood money. He didn't care. He sat in the hospital waiting room, blood still on his clothes, and waited for news about Sarah. Mrs. Chen found him there. She sat down beside him, didn't say anything for a long time. She's in surgery, Marcus finally said. Bullet nicked her lung. They say the next few hours are critical. And you? I'm done. Wellington Agricultural Holdings is finished. Everything my grandmother built, everything I thought I built, it's all gone. Is it though? Mrs. Chen took his hand. Your grandmother built more than a company, Marcus. She built a legacy of integrity. Of putting the land and the people first. You lost the business. But you found the integrity again. At what cost? The cost it always takes. Everything. Marcus closed his eyes. I don't know if she'll forgive me. For all of this. For putting her in danger. For loving her. He looked at Mrs. Chen. Is it that obvious? To everyone but you, apparently. It doesn't matter. Even if she survives this, she's gone. She told me. Once it's over, she's leaving. Then you let her go. You let her build a new life somewhere safe. And if I don't want to let her go? Mrs. Chen squeezed his hand. Then you love her enough to do it anyway. A doctor emerged from the surgical wing. Marcus stood so fast he knocked over his chair. Sarah Chen? She's stable. The surgery went well. She's in recovery now. Marcus felt his knees go weak. Can I see her? Family only. I'm her. He stopped. What was he? I'm the reason she's alive. Please. The doctor studied him. Saw something that made him nod. 5 minutes. Sarah looked small in the hospital bed. Tubes and wires everywhere. But her chest rose and fell steadily. Marcus sat beside her. Took her hand. Hey. You scared me. Sarah's eyes fluttered open. Focused on him slowly. Did we win? Yeah. We won. Dominic's in custody. Tom too. The FBI has everything. Good. She tried to smile. Then why do you look like someone died? Because I thought you did. For about 3 hours there, I thought I lost you. Can't get rid of me that easy. Apparently not. They sat in silence. Sarah's thumb traced circles on his palm. I meant what I said. When this is over, I'm gone. Marcus's jaw tightened. I know. You could come with me. We could disappear. Start over somewhere Dominic's reach doesn't extend. I can't. I have to testify. Face what I did. Accept the consequences. Even if it destroys you. Especially then. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. You're a good man, Marcus Wellington. No. I'm just a man trying to be good. There's a difference. Not to me. Marcus leaned down, kissed her forehead. Rest. Heal. And when you're ready to run, I'll make sure you have everything you need. Money. New identity. Whatever it takes to keep you safe. And then what? We just never see each other again. And then you build a life worth living. And maybe, someday, when all this is over, when the trials are done and the sentences are served, maybe we find each other again. That could be years. I know. It could be never. I know that too. Sarah pulled him closer. Kissed him. Desperate and sweet and utterly final. I love you. I need you to know that. Even though it's stupid and impossible and way too soon. Marcus pressed his forehead against hers. I love you too. And that's why I'm letting you go. The door opened. A federal marshal. Mr. Wellington? We need to move you to protective custody. Marcus stood. Looked at Sarah one last time. Be safe. Be happy. Be free. You too. He walked out without looking back. Because if he looked back, he'd never leave. And she deserved more than a man chained to his past. In the hallway, the marshal led him toward an exit. Marcus pulled out his phone. Sent one final text to his lawyer. Liquidate everything. Wellington Agricultural Holdings. The ranch. All of it. Proceeds go to the workers and sustainable farming initiatives. I want nothing. The response came immediately, are you sure? Marcus looked back toward Sarah's room. Toward everything he'd built on blood and lies. I'm sure. It's time to start over. The right way this time. He pocketed the phone. Followed the marshal into protective custody. Into a future that had no guarantees. No empire. No certainty. Just the hope that someday, somehow, two broken people might find their way back to each other. And the knowledge that love, real love, sometimes meant sacrifice. Even when it destroyed you. 3 years later. Sarah Chen stood at the edge of the Pacific, watching waves crash against Oregon coastline rocks. The coffee shop behind her was hers. Small. Honest. Built from the settlement money the FBI had given her for testimony that put Dominic Reeves away for 35 years. She'd changed her name. Cut her hair. Learned to sleep through the night without checking locks 3 times. But she'd never stopped thinking about Marcus Wellington. The trial had been brutal. 18 months of testimony. Marcus had given up everything. Turned over every asset. Faced down his board of directors and admitted he'd built an empire on blood money, even if he hadn't known it. The judge had been lenient. 2 years probation. Community service. The public humiliation was punishment enough. Sarah had watched from the gallery. Had wanted to run to him. Had forced herself to stay in her seat. After, she disappeared to Oregon. Started over. Tried to forget. Except some people, some moments, refused to be forgotten. The bell above the coffee shop door chimed. Sarah didn't turn. Just called out her usual greeting. Welcome to Second Chances. I'll be right with you. Take your time. I've got nowhere to be. Sarah's heart stopped. She turned slowly. Marcus Wellington stood in her doorway, 3 years older, wearing jeans and a worn jacket. No expensive watch. No carefully maintained distance between himself and the world. Just Marcus. Hi, he said. Sarah couldn't breathe. Couldn't speak. Couldn't do anything but stare. You found me. Took a while. You're good at disappearing. I'm good at surviving. Yeah. You are. They stood 10 feet apart. An ocean of unspoken words between them. Why are you here? Sarah finally asked. Because 3 years ago, you told me you loved me. And I told you I loved you. And then we walked away from each other like that was the end of the story. It was the end. Was it? Marcus stepped closer. Because for 3 years, I've rebuilt my life. Found actual investors who care about sustainable farming. Started small. 20 acres in Iowa. No empire. No board of directors. Just me and the land and people who wanted to do honest work. That's good. I'm happy for you. Are you? Because you look terrified. Sarah laughed, sharp and broken. Of course I'm terrified. You're standing in my coffee shop like a ghost. Like nothing happened. Like we didn't destroy each other's lives. We destroyed the lies. The lives we built on them. But what we had, Sarah, that was real. That was the only real thing in all of it. That was survival. That was two people drowning. Maybe. But I'm not drowning anymore. And neither are you. Sarah leaned against the counter. What do you want from me, Marcus? Nothing. Everything. A chance to see if what we felt 3 years ago was just trauma or something more. And if it was just trauma? Then I'll leave. I'll go back to Iowa and I'll build my little farm and I'll remember you as the woman who saved my life. And I'll be grateful. And if it was more? Marcus crossed the remaining distance between them. Stopped just close enough that Sarah could feel his warmth. Then maybe we get to find out what comes after the sacrifice. After the pain. Maybe we get to see if two broken people can build something that isn't built on lies. Sarah looked up at him. Saw the same exhaustion she'd seen on the train 3 years ago. But underneath it now, something else. Something that looked like peace. I'm not the same person I was. Good. Neither am I. I have nightmares. About the shooting. About Dominic. So do I. I don't know if I can trust anyone ever again. I'm not asking you to trust me. Not yet. I'm just asking you to let me stay. Let me work in your coffee shop. Let me prove that I'm not the man who built an empire on blood money. Let me show you who I actually am. Sarah felt tears on her cheeks. That's not fair. I know. You can't just show up and say things like that. I know that too. I hate you. Okay. I'm serious. I hate that you made me fall in love with you. I hate that you let me go. I hate that you're here now, looking at me like that, making me feel things I spent 3 years trying not to feel. Marcus cupped her face with both hands. Gentle. Reverent. Then hate me. I'll take it. I'll take anything you're willing to give. Sarah grabbed his wrists. Not pushing away. Just holding on. If you stay, it's not romantic. It's not some fairy tale. It's me working 70-hour weeks trying to keep this place afloat. It's therapy appointments and panic attacks and days where I can't get out of bed because the weight of everything is too much. Okay. It's you working minimum wage making lattes and probably hating every second. I like lattes. Marcus, I'm serious. So am I. He pressed his forehead against hers. Sarah, I spent 3 years doing penance. Giving away money. Selling property. Trying to undo the damage Dominic did in my name. And you know what I learned? What? That I can't undo it. I can't bring back my grandmother. Can't give you back the years Dominic stole. Can't make any of it unhappen. But I can be here. Right now. Choosing you. Choosing us. Choosing to build something honest. Sarah closed her eyes. Felt the last 3 years trying to crush her. Felt Marcus holding her up through it. I don't know if I'm strong enough for this. You jumped in front of a bullet for me. You're strong enough for anything. That was different. That was instinct. And this is choice. Harder, maybe. But real. The coffee shop was empty except for them. Rain started pattering against the windows. The Oregon coast doing what it did best. Sarah pulled back. Looked at Marcus. Really looked. If you stay, there are rules. Okay. You get your own apartment. We date like normal people. No grand gestures. No trying to save me. Deal. And you go to therapy. Real therapy. Not just because I said so, but because you need it. Already have a therapist. Dr. Morrison. She's terrifying. Sarah almost smiled. Good. Anything else? Yeah. Sarah took a shaky breath. Don't make me fall in love with you again unless you're planning to stay. I can't survive losing you twice. Marcus kissed her. Slow and deep and full of promises he intended to keep. I'm not going anywhere. Not unless you tell me to leave. I might. On bad days. When the nightmares are too much. Then I'll leave. And I'll come back the next day. And the day after that. Until you believe that I mean it. Sarah buried her face in his chest. Felt his arms close around her. Solid. Real. Here. This is a terrible idea. Probably. We're going to hurt each other. Definitely. But we're doing it anyway. If you'll have me. Sarah pulled back. Looked up at him through tears and laughter and 3 years of grief finally releasing its hold. I want the Americano station. You get the espresso machine. That's fine. And you're closing every night for the first month. My rules. Harsh but fair. And Marcus? Yeah. Welcome to second chances. He smiled. Really smiled. The kind of smile that reached his eyes and made him look 10 years younger. Thanks for giving me mine. They stood in the coffee shop as rain hammered the windows and the Pacific Ocean roared its approval. Two broken people choosing to heal together instead of apart. Not fixed. Not whole. But honest. Real. Building something that started with truth instead of lies. Outside, the storm raged. Inside, something quieter bloomed. Not love. Not yet. Love took time. Trust took longer. But possibility. That was there. Fragile and fierce and worth fighting for. Sarah pulled away first. Grabbed an apron from behind the counter. Tossed it to Marcus. You start now. We've got a rush coming in 20 minutes. Yes, ma'am. And Marcus? He turned, apron halfway over his head. Thank you. For coming back. For choosing this. For choosing me. Sarah Chen, I'd choose you in every lifetime. Every version. Every possibility. That's really sappy. I'm a farmer. We're allowed to be sappy. She threw a dish rag at him. He caught it, laughing. And for the first time in 3 years, Sarah Chen felt something she'd almost forgotten. Hope. Not the naive hope of before. Not the desperate hope of survival. But the hard-won hope of someone who'd walked through fire and chosen to believe in warmth again. The door chimed. Customers poured in, shaking off rain, demanding coffee and pastries and the small comforts that got people through hard days. Sarah and Marcus worked side by side. Not perfect. Not practiced. But there. And when their hands brushed reaching for the same cup, when their eyes met across the steam and chaos, they both smiled. Because this was the story after the ending. The life after the sacrifice. The choice to build something new from the ashes of everything they'd lost. It wouldn't be easy. Some days would be impossible. The nightmares wouldn't vanish. The scars wouldn't fade. But they'd face it together. Two people who'd destroyed each other's worlds and chosen to rebuild side by side. Outside, the storm broke. Sun pierced through clouds, painting the Pacific gold and silver. A second chance of a different kind. The weather reminding them that storms pass. That beauty follows devastation. That sometimes, the best thing you can do is simply survive to see another day. Sarah caught Marcus's hand between customers. Squeezed once. A promise and a question and an answer all at once. He squeezed back. And in that coffee shop on the Oregon coast, two broken people chose love. Not the fairy tale kind. Not the easy kind. But the real kind. The kind that took work and time and brutal honesty. The kind worth fighting for. The kind that saved them both. The end.